Hello, I'm Alma Schneider. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the proud mother of 4 children, one of whom has Prader-Willi syndrome.
And I am Iris Miller. I'm a certified rehabilitation counselor and the proud mother of 2 children, one of whom has quadriplegic cerebral palsy and is nonverbal.
In this podcast, we discuss the uncensored truth about raising children with disabilities.
Prepare to laugh, cry, and hopefully learn something new.
This is Two Moms, No Fluff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the 1 in 6 Support podcast, Two Moms, No Fluff, where we discuss the uncensored truth about raising children with disabilities. I'm here with my lovely co-host and co-founder of 1 in 6 Support, Alma Schneider. Hello, Alma.
Hello.
And
Nice
I'm
to see
Iris
everybody.
Miller. Sorry?
I said it, and it's nice to be here.
Nice to be here with you too. And we have an interesting topic to discuss today. So, Alma, do you want to introduce our topic?
Yes, we have been talking a lot about this topic, and we figured why not make it a podcast episode? So, we are going to be talking about the transition to adulthood and why community matters when we are moving into this transition. As we've always talked about, talking to other parents and caregivers is the best way to learn about what we need to know about because we don't know what we don't know. And as much as the professionals in our community may give us information, the real details and the nuances of how we have to look for services for our child really comes from other parents who have been through it.
Oh my gosh, Alma, this is a hot topic for me because, as you know, I've been in this field for like 30 years now, and it's mind-boggling to me how every time I host a support group, I learn something new. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter, how many committees or councils I'm a part of. The parents hold such a unique body of knowledge that is built on personal experience that there isn't a single time that I don't collect a new piece of information. And this is extremely helpful for our family right now because our daughter is literally turning 18 this month or next month, but within a couple of weeks. And the whole preparation for this transition, if I can say something about how the system is built, is that there's no such a thing as smooth transition. And if you're promised a smooth transition, please take it with a grain of salt. You might be the one lucky person in your state that does have a safe transition, but and smooth one. But please prepare for the worst, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And knowledge is power. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Alma, back to
Yes.
you.
Very, very, very true. And I too am going through this at the moment because my son is 21 and we don't want to scare everybody, but what everybody says is you it feels like you're falling off a cliff when your child turns 21 because all of the services that were kind of spoon-fed to you and all the information by the staff that's surrounding you ends pretty much at 21. Or it doesn't end, but you have a lot fewer people in your corner directing you. And it's really important at this stage to be in community with other parents because we as parents and guardians have to kind of create the life that our children are going to have after 21. Whereas before it was sort of you were guided and people helped you. Now it's, the time has come. So not to scare you because there are plenty of other people out there who you can talk to. But we just want to let you know that it will be much easier for you if you are in community with other parents. So one of the things that is really important to know is that there is something, at least in New Jersey, called the NJCAT. And it is an assessment tool that you fill out, and it's something that it's the one time where you really want to not the one time, but one of a few times where you really want to be fully honest about the needs that your child has. And a lot of people, including myself, learned that you have to present your child on his or her or their worst day. And Knowing that information, we filled out a form and we were still denied. And again, this is coming from someone who has been running a group for parents since 2008, and we still got it wrong. So I found out from other people that when we were denied, that we have to, even if you're presenting your child that they need all these supports, even in certain situations, we might forget that, yes, they can take a shower by themselves, but will they take a shower if you don't tell them to take a shower? No, they will not. And so that is what has to be written on this form. So filling out a form, this is just one example where you think you're doing the right thing and you're like, oh yeah, my child can take a shower by themselves. I don't have to be in the shower with them. He would never take a shower if I didn't say, you need to go take a shower. He's getting better at it, my son, by the way, but a lot of kids won't, they simply won't do it. So that needs to be documented because that means that they need someone there to prompt them. And all of the answers translate into how much money your child will get from the state, their tier, it's called, in order to get the services that they actually need and require. So these are really, really important answers. And we need to learn from other parents how to fill this out because a lot of staff members in our world will not be as explicit in explaining how this needs to be done. So this has an impact on the rest of your child's life. They need, if you don't fill this out properly, you might get a very small amount of money. You might say, okay, well, at least I'm getting some money from the state. No, you need, one day you will not be here, unfortunately. You need to make sure that your child has everything they need if you're not around.
Right. And Alma, this is actually the key and the thing that I think many parents don't take into account when they fill reports like that and assessments for or on behalf of their children. And I
Mhm.
just want to mention, in New Jersey, it might be translated into money that the family receives. In other states, it's basically the service that the child would receive, the hours of support. But basically, what parents, it's a painful experience, but what parents need to take into consideration is what happens if tomorrow I am no longer here, my spouse is no longer here. And I keep using this example that when we were still in New Jersey, right, my daughter's music therapy would come and visit our child. And after visiting our child, she would go and visit another family where the parents went on a date in New York City and never came back. So you never know, right, what might happen and when you would no longer be there. But imagine that day that you are no longer there. How is your child able to function in the world? And when would they need help? Maybe your child knows or can sleep independently, but if there was a fire alarm, would they know what to do? Can they help themselves in that situation at home? And consider the very good example that you gave with the shower is so relevant. It's not the technicality of the physical action of getting inside the shower and maybe successfully soaping and shampooing themselves. It's knowing when, how frequently, and also be prompted into the shower and sometimes like be sent back to the shower to do a better job at it, etc. So
Mhm.
those are little technicalities that hold so much weight in planning for your child's future, because 1 hour of service, if you calculated over multiple weeks in 52 weeks in 1 year, over 75 or longer years of adulthood, it's a significant amount of support that you can or can't live independently without.
Yes, absolutely. So there are so many examples like that. And we're not here to scare you. We don't want to overwhelm you because the good news is that other parents do know and other parents can guide you. And that's something that we're trying to do at 1 in 6 Support. We're trying to create communities like this all over the country so that nobody has to be alone and figure this out for themselves because as we all know, we're so overwhelmed and it's very hard to find the time to research this. So why not, have a social or a practical meeting with other parents to learn about these things? Another issue that has been coming up around transition to adulthood, I've spoken with many parents, and a lot of parents don't think about the fact that their child can live with them. They just assume that their child is going to have to live with them forever. It's very daunting. It's very overwhelming, depending on the amount of work involved in staying with your child. But another way to look at it is if God forbid something happened to you and your whoever else takes care of your child, how traumatic would it be for your child to automatically be in another setting, in addition to you being gone or incapable of taking care of them anymore? Maybe an accident or a life change that prohibits you from caring for your child in the way that you need to at home. How traumatic would that be from one day to the next to have this happen to you and have your child experience that, and they have to move somewhere else at the same time? So it is so important that we make sure that our children are in a safe, protected household or living situation before you're gone, so that they have an easy transition to being in another place. And this is something that's not about you being a bad parent sending your kid off. It's really about taking care of your child and setting them up for success before you're gone, so that you can be a part of that process. You can visit them, you can ease them into this new situation so that it's comfortable and safe for them, and your child is in a good place for them.
Yes, and I think that the transition to adulthood in general, right, for the typical adult child is symbolized by, living independently, being able to acquire higher education or find a place of employment. And all in all, kind of those steps define independence for us. And for parents of children with disabilities, we have to redefine what does the transition to adulthood means for our family and for our child. And that specific step is also something that the parents should really consider when they apply for services and when they build that plan for the future. For some families, really transitioning to independent living is a goal and a good reality and a good possibility. For others, maybe living with the family with the assumption of siblings as caregivers later on in life would be the best plan. There is no right or wrong answer. The thing is that the parents need to really have an honest conversation with themselves, or if it's a single parent, like really a good sit down. I again want to emphasize how important that brainstorming process with other families is, because you do get reflections of the process, how it went for other parents, and also some of the semantics and technicalities. For example, our children are not allowed to have assets beyond $2,000, but they can own a house. And that house comes with a lot of tax benefits for the individual with disability. So that is also a financial piece that, again, as they transition to adulthood and you think about the special needs trust and just how to structure maybe your family's will, and if how do you plan for the future, all of that is kind of intertwined into those long-term goals that the child has for themselves or the family has for the child, depending on their level of independence.
Yeah, and it's great when you're talking to other parents, you learn about all the options that you're referring to. There are so many different options. You can stay in the house with supportive staff. You can go to an apartment with supported staff. You can create a group home, and hire your own supportive staff. There are many options, but the only way you're going to learn about these, truly learn about them and the ins and outs and the struggles that might arise, so you can head them off, come from other parents. They really do. And that's why, we're always pushing for community groups where people can talk about this stuff, because either you may not know about these things because, again, we do not know what we don't know. We don't know what's out there. And even talking with other parents, I met a woman the other day. There's a chance that we might be able to have our kids live together because they happen to be around the same age and they have similar needs. So being in a community, not only, especially when your child is younger, you can get friendships started from meeting other parents and learning about their children and that they might hit it off, the kids might hit off. The same for adults. You can create community for your children by meeting other people who have children with similar interests or needs, but you could also find a way to possibly live together. And that's really important, to meet people that you get along with, because the children will be living together and there will certainly be issues that come up. And you want to be with someone who is a responsible, reliable person or a compassionate person. So that's another way to meet people who you might have as an integral part of your life going forward with your child. So many perks, so many positives to being in these groups with other parents.
Yes, and I want to mention two important perks that we didn't speak about yet. And one of them is the fact that when children kind of lose that main activity of the day that we refer to as school, there is suddenly a huge vacuum, kind of a gap in their daily routine that is a horrible void and sometimes extremely difficult for the families to fill. And the fact that you are a part of a parent group makes it easier for you to connect with other families who have adult children with similar disabling conditions or similar needs or similar interests, that you can create something for your child, and also, of course, learn about resources and programs that are out there that your child has the ability to join, either in a supported employment situation or activities in the community. So it's not a horrible kind of journey into isolation, which many times that's what we hear from parents, that the moment the child graduated from the school support system, there isn't anything else. There's one huge void. And then should I go on to my next point, or do you have additional?
Well, I just want to comment that there are so many programs out there during the day that your child can take advantage of. And it happens to me all the time that I'm talking to local people who have absolutely no idea about these many of them are free programs that their children can be a part of, or programs that their children can pay for through their benefits from the state. And we're talking about yoga classes, film classes, baseball, soccer, all of these wonderful programs right in your community that you may not know about, that other parents can tell you about, to fill the day. Because as you mentioned, yes, school programs are right there at your fingertips. When that's over, you've got to create your own life, your child's life for them. You have to help them create activities. And nobody wants their child sitting around watching TV all day or on a phone scrolling and getting on TikTok or whatever it is that they're going to do, that is not going to help them with their brain development ongoing. And it's just very, very important to have their days filled before this happens at 21 or whatever the age is that your child is done with the services.
Yes, and I think that the other piece, as we're talking about that, we keep on touching about what doesn't work with the system of service as it is today. And the system still needs to be fixed, updated, improved, etc. And there is no way for a single parent to attack that, no matter how good of an advocate or activist they are. And this is where the power in numbers is. And this is why we really want to encourage parents during the transition stage, after and before, to just join us and join our efforts in the work that we do to advocate for families with children with disabilities. And when I say children, of course, I mean also our adult children. There is no end to the work that still needs to be done in terms of inclusion and bettering the program of support for people with disabilities. And we see that there is a maybe better answer to older adults because the general population also experience the same deterioration of physical and cognitive abilities and also mental health challenges that we sometimes deal with our children from the young age all the way to older adult. The gap there kind of between the age of 18 to maybe 55, this is the space that we need to fill in the void, and this is where so much work still needs to be done. So I really hope that this is all encouraging to not just join our support groups for physical support and resources, but also to join the activism and advocacy work. And finally, as I'm saying that, I want to also mention that we do have guest speaker presentations that are so relevant specifically for people whose children are in transition. We have in Michigan disability rights a lawyer that would give a presentation online, and it doesn't matter in which state you are and where you're listening from, but that presentation is about the differences between Medicaid and Medicare, SSI and SSDI, and what happens to your adult child with a disability once you retire from work. So this should be relevant for any parent, no matter where you are. And if you want more information about that April presentation and you want to join us on Zoom, please feel free to write to us at info@1in6support.org, and we'll give you the link to that presentation.
Yes, absolutely. And just FYI, if you don't know already, we have a 1 in 6 Support YouTube channel where we've been recording a lot of the speakers that come to our group so that everyone all over the world has access to these wonderful presentations with very enlightening information that can really benefit your child and your whole family. So please check that out.
And
Anything
also
else?
a bunch of resources on our online forum. And if you have not visited our online forum yet, please join us. This is a safe space to ask questions and share information. That is on our website, www.1in6support.org. And we would be also happy to answer, Alma and myself, of course, any questions that you guys post on the forum under different topics. And it can be a conversation about a location-related question, but it can be a question that is non-location specific, for example, about a permobile wheelchair, and we'll be happy to answer that as well and to get answers from parents all around the world.
Yes, www.1in6support.org. All right, well, I think that's it for today. Please reach out if you have any questions, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
For more information, please go to www.twomomsnofluff.com. Thank you.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give it a 5-star rating so more people can hear it. Thank you.